All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Hopefully, you're tuning in multi-screen situation, rooting on the U.S. in the World Cup as they are about to kick off. I believe that's the right term. Kick off here in a second as well. 8 games on the slate. It's going to be a wild and bumpy week for us. It always is this time of the year, trying to create content around the holiday schedule. I will be flying home to see my family on Tuesday, and I'm taking a flight out at like 7 a.m. so I can hopefully be back in time for the live show, but I will not be on the injury show tomorrow. Gary Hartman will be joining Mike tomorrow, and then flying back in Saturday after doing Establish the Million late at night to try to make sure that I can do all the content. We've got huge slates on Wednesday and Friday. There will be no injury report analysis show on Thanksgiving. I know you were all hoping to have us at the Thanksgiving table with Uncle Pete simulcast, but unfortunately there's no games, so we won't be able to join you this year for Thanksgiving dinner. Mike, how are you on the start of Thanksgiving week?
Ready to go, yeah. Questionable for Thursday for tryptophan, but yeah, good to go. Fun little slate, a lot of injuries, and yeah, these Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, especially Wednesday, Friday, it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna be making a short and truncated matchups coming on Friday. Just a heads up to everyone.
Yeah, which I think is important to keep our sanity during these difficult times. Today's slate, 8 games, but a lot of teams on back-to-backs. Cavs, Heat, Warriors, Knicks, all on the second end of a back-to-back. No teams on the front end of a back-to-back. You can see the light schedule tomorrow on Tuesday. As a result, we have some injury situations that we don't quite know yet and could get muddied. Let's start with the Miami Heat. They're once again down bad. No Jimmy Butler, no Tyler Hero, no Duncan Robinson. Questionable tags on Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, and Dwayne Dedmon. We saw them get ransacked last night in Cleveland.
This is 2 games ago. I wanted to bring up the
This is 2 games ago.
Oh, sorry, no, sorry. Oh no, that's my bad. This is yesterday.
I was going to say
I brought the wrong box up. Yeah, my bad.
I was going to say I think they got wrecked by Cleveland last night.
That was the Wizards game. My bad. I had the wrong.
The Wizards game, when they had only 7 guys available, was the situation where there was no Bam, no Dedmon, and no Gabe Vincent. We could get into this type of situation again. What are your thoughts here for Miami on the second night of a back-to-back tonight?
Yeah, I feel like there's a good chance that they just mail it in here. Back-to-back travel day going from Cleveland to Minnesota. Bam's list is questionable with this knee thing that's been bothering him. Gabe Vincent had swelling, didn't warm up yesterday, got ruled out. I think he's very likely to sit. Dwayne Dedmon's listed with the foot thing. He could miss again. I don't think they want to play him on a back-to-back with the plantar fascia thing he's been dealing with. So I think they're probably at most going to have 8. So that's pretty scary. And my hatred for betting the Wolves combined with my hatred for taking advantage of Miami closing line value has met. And like an idiot, I took the Wolves because I can't watch this game. I'm not allowed to. But I'm hoping 2 wrongs do make a right here in the situation.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's the way it works, but good luck to you.
Yeah. I went like a quarter unit just because like it just makes sense to me. We could talk about that, I guess, a little bit later. But yeah, so I would expect Jovic to start again. We saw him start in last night, the first time all season they run this lineup out there. You and I were shocked that Jovic started at the 4, and he got pretty good minutes there. Didn't really do too much with them. They're running him like on offense with like short roll stuff. It was pretty interesting. So expect him to get minutes. Again, you need the size. So I think it makes sense to go with the same starting 5 here. Assuming Bam goes. If he doesn't go, obviously Jovic and Haywood Highsmith would probably get the starts. Be curious if Dedmon's out and they go with Orlando Robinson. I should note that Jovic didn't really see late minutes in this Cavs game because they wanted rim protection and again a lot of size in that Cleveland matchup. So yeah, a whole lot of things working here. Obviously, the Bam questionable tag will tell us a lot about what this rotation could look like. And Kyle Lowry should note too. Minutes weren't too bad last night after his ridiculous game against the Wizards, where he had 34 potential assists, biggest number I've ever seen in a game. But yeah, so. I'm expecting Miami to be shorthanded. I'm expecting to be tilting on what I hope is a tight win as the Wolves hopefully cover by more than 8. I think it's 8.5 now.
The Wolves are running into some favorable schedules, right? They just caught the 76ers in this similar spot. Took a while to put the 76ers away for the Wolves there. So their slow start to the season is meeting some really favorable scheduling here tonight. But obviously, if Miami's down to a handful of guys again, you're going to have to play and get into them. If Bam and these guys are available, you see how the game is going to be dependent on it being competitive for there to generate a ceiling here, right? Because you can see last night's game when they had this many guys, they get blown out by 25. Nobody really has a good day, even though plenty of guys will project well just because there's a lot of opportunity available. So, just be thoughtful on your approach to Miami tonight. One of the other teams on the back-to-back, we just got injury information around. The Golden State Warriors have listed Steph Curry out along with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney are listed questionable. The Pelicans, man, another team I feel like Minnesota really benefiting. The Pelicans, the last time Golden State went into New Orleans, the Pelicans got this same situation where Golden State rested everybody. They were coming off a close loss to Orlando. Golden State, close win against Houston last night. Looney and Wiggins, we'll see. But we saw Golden State play very shorthanded before, and it was a lot of Jordan Poole and a lot of Moses Moody. They've got Dante DiVincenzo back in the rotation this time, so it's a little bit of a different group. But you could see the minutes on these secondary guys run quite a bit and could be very similar to Miami, although with probably lighter price tags, given we haven't seen it of late. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Warriors?
Yeah, not surprising. We had that quote pregame that I know Underdog put out that they weren't expecting rest, but after the game, Steve Kerr said that their performance staff is going to look at these guys because Steph 37 minutes, Klay second most minutes he's played in the game, 36. Big game. They finally got a freaking road win. It seemed pretty likely to me that someone was going to sit. Draymond also kind of had some comments in his post-game presser. So definitely I missed my chance to get some closing line value for work-related reasons. And I was not quick enough on my phone. But that I think Wiggins probably sits too. There was a quote from Kerr saying he hasn't really been himself defensively, and he's kind of been okay offensively as like a corner three guy. So I think he's got a chance to sit. Pulling up the box from when they sat everyone out, as you mentioned, Dante DiVincenzo wasn't available here. So that takes away some of this other stuff with like the Rollins and Patrick Baldwins and those guys. But I would expect probably a similar starting lineup if Wiggins doesn't go. I think they want to get Wiggins kind of in better shape too. So I think you can make a case for him going. Obviously, that would be great. But yeah, not surprising at all. Kevon Looney, you see here, minutes were pretty good. We always talk about this consecutive game streak. Wonder if that continues. They've been playing him quite a few minutes. But yeah, Jordan Poole obviously in a really big spot here. So yeah, we should see a pretty tight rotation with their second unit guys. And Kuminga also should mention he got huge minutes in the last game and could happen again. And this time they get Zion again, so they probably need him out there for a bunch.
Do you expect Weissman to get recalled from the G League?
I have to look at that. I don't think so. I don't think they need him.
Yeah. I think that's a big one to focus on. But you can see here, if Looney plays, they probably just give JaMychal Green those minutes that they gave Weissman before. If Looney doesn't play, I would expect that Weissman is definitely recalled in that scenario, assuming that it's not a huge travel pain for them. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see Weissman again for Golden State tonight.
They play at Santa Cruz on Saturday. So they are in Salt Lake City today.
So probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
They could have. I mean, they could have
called him. Yeah.
They could have called last night. Yeah. So we'll find out. But that probably makes it more likely that Looney is available. Would be my guess, and you could see a lot of JaMychal Green tonight. Okay. People asking about props. If you can find stale lines are always good to attack. But I do think there's concern more so on Looney than Wiggins about potentially trying to keep game streaks alive and different things like that. On to the questionables on the slate. DeAndre Hunter, late questionable ad or day of questionable ad. Any thoughts here on how the Hawks, a team with not a ton of depth right now, would handle the absence of DeAndre Hunter if they have to face such a situation tonight?
Yeah, midday illness tag. Can't really read into it. Generally, it's been pretty bad. I can't believe Aaron Gordon is still out, by the way. If he's out, I think they almost have to start Justin Holiday. We've seen him kind of go away as AJ Griffin, who was dynamite. I think he had 8 points in overtime, had the game winner, and one of the most beautiful plays of the season if you haven't seen it. I would assume he has to start just because they need another on-ball defender against the two guards in Cleveland. So I'd expect Justin Holiday to start, keep AJ Griffin in his role. AJ Griffin would still get pretty good minutes there, but that almost has to be the way they would go. They would kind of play the hide the Trae Young on Lamar Stevens game, which works. So they kind of match up really well that way. But yeah, so I think that's basically how it goes. Now he wouldn't get. I mean, Hunter's been pretty good. 45 minutes in the last game. Surprised to find out he scored double digits in every single game this year. It's kind of
his scoring's been really consistent and needed for them because they haven't gotten as much from John Collins this year.
Yeah. Collins making everything at the line, but doing nothing else. But I feel pretty confident we'd be boosting Justin Holiday's minutes in a significant way, despite how he's been more or less booted out of the rotation because AJ Griffin's been so good.
All right. Opposite the Hawks in this game, the Cavs, Kevin Love, listed questionable, was unable to go last night. What are your thoughts on his likely availability tonight?
Got to be unlikely, right? Very odd to get the questionable tag with a hairline fracture on his shooting thumb. This guy has had multiple wrist injuries. He's had injuries with all the time with hand-related stuff. I'd be pretty shocked. I'm surprised he got the Q tag. I think they're just being, open-minded to it. So would be surprised if he sat. So we'll see. Jetty Osman, who was awesome yesterday. He would pick up a big role. Okoro's role would grow. Should mention Karis LeVert also out from an injury as well. So that would help those guys' minutes. Okoro's minutes would be considerably safer. See if they bring in Hall Neto for some more minutes as well, which makes a lot of sense. But definitely more usage coming as well for possibly Osman if both Love and LeVert are out. LeVert is, but if Love's out, then that's even more usage that could go his way.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they stagger really aggressively without Karis LeVert. If that is the case, you could see really nice spots for Garland and Mitchell tonight if they're really staggered aggressively, because you could see them essentially slide in someone like a Neto alongside Garland or Mitchell and just have like a low usage secondary facilitator there, and then have all those minutes kind of to themselves, which would be interesting as well. On to Paul George, questionable for the Clippers. Late game situations, questionable tags. It's always a thing. What are your thoughts here on Paul George?
Yeah, man. Bad break for you.
I would have had a sweat, but he would have needed like 36 DK points. He had 30 at half. He would need 36 in the second half for me to win like 100K. I thought it was going to be where I only need like 25, but the score got pushed up higher. And I don't think he was getting it in this game environment anyway, so I don't feel too bad. But it would have been fun to have the sweat at least.
Yeah, Laurie. I assume it was because Laurie was popping off late.
Laurie and Beasley that night.
Yeah. Beasley. Oh my God, we can't take another Beasley under. So knee soreness sounded pretty minor. Lou didn't have any concerns, but it's the Clippers. Worth noting, there's a 2.5 hour gap from the second to last late game to the late game, so we will have no information. The Clippers are not going to update anything. It is terrifying. If he doesn't play, I'd be pretty confident in thinking that Terrence Mann gets the start. Quotes from Ty Lue after the game saying he likes Norm Powell in that bench role, and he has to keep him in that role for some continuity purposes. Finally gets out of the Cash Game Gary doghouse.
There's no Cash Game Gary is no longer tonight.
5:00
Eastern. Myself and GPP bro Gary will be back behind the paywall at Established Runs NBA Premium content.
Yeah, and should mention Robert Covington also out of the rotation for the most part. Lou said he's out for now, so don't expect him to play. I don't even know if Paul George is out, they'd go to him. We saw him really not get much run anyways. So, he's toast, man. Just what a turn of events for Robert Covington. Kawhi Leonard on what seems to be a consistent 21 to 25-minute limit. I expect that to continue until further notice. That includes tonight, so I wouldn't put him at more than 25 minutes. hasn't looked great. We just talked about him on a podcast that should be out today. Should be a good spot for Zubats. The Jazz are really bad on interior defense with Kelly Olynyk and Vanderbilt being more of a wingy, helpy guy. So I think if Paul George is out, that can create a lot of usage. And we saw John Wall come off a big game, 10 assists in the first quarter off the bench, finishes with 15, really aggressive downhill game. That suits this Utah defense and something that should fit as far as Wall playing very well. Lou said he did like playing John Wall with Reggie Jackson, with Wall being more of the offense facilitator. Reggie Jackson does have some off-ball game as well. He just shot the lights out in the last game. So, that'll be mostly how it comes together. We'll see more Norm, but again, I would be pretty shocked if Norm is starting. I think he's locked into the bench role just because of what I said earlier, and that lineup with him starting has been terrible. So, and I'm leaning out on Paul George just given the way that this Clippers team is cautious, but not strong enough to feel like we should have the projections lean out.
Good to know. We talked about the Warriors side of things, but on the Pelicans side, Zion is listed probable. They've played the last few games without him. Trey Murphy listed as questionable. What are your thoughts on his availability tonight?
Sounds like he's got a shot. He's going to warm up, be game time decision. Got imaging, looks like it's clean. Never really much concern from Willie Green after the game on that injury. So expecting him to play, I guess. If he does play, that makes Valanciunas real dicey. Even without Steph Curry, I still think that with the way the Warriors move the ball, they're going to want to have a switch-heavy defense to help with Larry Nance and have Larry Nance recover. To be clear, Valanciunas is going to start. But I would still feel really nervous about his minutes with Zion playing some 5 as well. Should add Zion got pretty good minutes. I think 31 and change and a bit of a blowout in the last game. He returned from injury. That was a very different injury though, because he fell down, played through it at first. The training staff called him to get out of the game. He wanted to stay in. This time he was a little bit hurt. Obviously Zion with any sort of foot ankle thing, there's going to be extra caution. So I'd be a little bit more nervous about him getting, mid 30s, but I think he's got a pretty good shot at 30 because they would not put him on the court if they didn't feel he was 100%.
And you mentioned Valanciunas' minute ceiling being tied to Trey Murphy a little bit there. Don't you think they have enough depth with Dyson Daniels and Garrett Temple that, because I kind of think I understand the idea that they want to play their best players, but I think it's entirely dependent on how they feel about the defense. Nance and Joe Val, I think, are taking a full 48 is my guess.
But they haven't really had that much depth to really not do that. We haven't really, because Zion hasn't been healthy enough for them to go that way. So maybe Zion is starting to feel better, but it's just another thing it could go back.
For sure. For sure. All right. Wendell Carter Jr. questionable once again. Did not go through shoot around was the reporting I saw from our good friends at Underdog Fantasy, which is a good time to segue into a reminder to support the people that support us. This show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money, running in addition to many formats of NFL contests, still running for huge prizes. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tools to compare ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em lines. If you have not signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. Our good friends at Underdog Fantasy on the NBA side had noted earlier today that Wendell Carter Jr. did not go through shoot around. He missed last game. He's missed a few games, and we have seen Mo Bamba and Bol go ham in those games without Paolo Banchero. It's a rematch of a very close loss, a very frustrating loss for us Magic over bettors with Indiana once again tonight. What are your thoughts on Wendell Carter Jr.'s availability?
Yeah, so normally that non-shoot around thing would make you think he's not going to play, and I think that's probably the case. Don't feel confident because it's a thing he's been playing through. It's something that they're trying to manage. So, keeping him out of shooting around is just steps you could save for later in the day. So I think that's probably part of it. So he's going to be game time almost certainly. This is one of the early game of the day. So we'll have information there. Magic are always really good about reporting who's going to be starting. So we'll have that. Again, leaning slightly out. Should be, Bamba and Bol were just terrific. Jalen Smith could not stop Bol over the weekend, so expecting a big minute out of him. And we saw them shift smaller, 1 through 3. We saw KK's minutes get cut a little bit. As we saw a little bit more on-ball defense with RJ. Should mention Gary Harris is back, so that's another thing that could potentially cut down Chumo KK. So curious to see if even, he didn't play well at all against Halliburton in the guard. So be curious to see if maybe they start Gary Harris as kind of something different there. But kind of going more of a traditional lineup there. So it's something I'm watching. But I would expect OKK to get the start.
Derrick Rose and Cam Reddish, both questionable for the Knicks. Obviously, we've seen some back-end rotation changes to the Knicks. They've gotten Mitchell Robinson back. Evan Fournier was not even in the rotation despite a blowout, despite no Cam Reddish last game, which was yesterday afternoon. It seems like Fournier's fallen totally out of favor here, but Rose and Reddish, what do you think about their availability tonight? Reddish missed yesterday. Rose left the game early.
Yeah, Rose left the game early with a toe injury. Tibbs called it a big toe issue. It's Derrick Rose. I don't think he's playing.
Was that a big toe issue or a big toe issue?
Yes, I think it's referring to the location of the toe.
Okay.
As far as in which toe, not the magnitude of the injury. But so it's Derrick Rose. Like he's not playing, right? There's got to be no chance. But sore groin for Cam Reddish, a guy who is probably not going to go out there at 100% given the contract situation. So I'd expect him to stay. And we saw, as you mentioned, Quentin Grimes just slide right in there as Tibbs. We saw him play 10, but it was really them playing 3 centers. So it was really that same 9-man rotation, which he likes now. This is really game after game. We've seen him go with this 9-man. So I think we could say with confidence that it's going to be 9. And then we also should say that Miles McBride, not Fournier and shuffling up their lineups, moving IQ. It was Miles McBride stepping into the Derrick Rose minutes. Yep. So I would expect him to slide in there again. That adds a really nice floor for Jalen Brunson as this team looks for a bounce back against the Thunder, who put 145 on them in a Sunday matinee game. One of the craziest games of the year. I think Mitch Robinson is going to start this game because the Hartenstein minutes were so bad in OKC. And Tibbs said he looked good in the first half. He said that he didn't look great in the second half for conditioning. So I think they're going to try to ramp him up a little bit. But I think they want to get him in the first unit just because it went so bad yesterday and it went bad in the OKC game. It just seems like Tibbs is like, okay, I got to go back to my it's not really his tried and true first unit because he doesn't really have one anymore because all these guys are hurt. But I would expect the starting lineup to be Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, who will get the Dort matchup last game, and then Mitch Robinson.
All right. Speaking of OKC, no Poku, Trey Mann, and Darius Baisley questionable. The OKC injury report shuffle is always a thing. What are your expectations tonight for the Thunder?
Man, these midday Q tags, man. Mark Dagnall has said that he's just, they're not going to be forthcoming with their injuries. Thanks for that. As poor Claff and poor everyone just redoing OKC minutes every hour, it feels like. So I think Jalen Williams starts regardless. I mentioned Dort's going to be the 4-man, so he'll be starting as a 4, but it'll more be Dort in the substitution pattern. Kenrich Williams subbing behind Dort to be the on-ball defender there. I'm expecting Jeremiah Robinson-Earl to get the start. And they do have Eugene Omoyuri coming off a G League stint. He's been playing pretty well. He's been great when they called upon him, so I'd expect him to pick up some center minutes, along with Mike Muscala, Jalen Williams. That's the bad Jalen Williams. The later Jalen Williams, he's in the G League right now. He won't be available. Would expect more of that 3-man group I mentioned for center spot. Jalen picking up most of the 3-4 minutes, filling in some minutes with Aaron Wiggins and those guys. But I would expect it to be these guys on the screen, except no Poku, and you're subbing in Jeremiah Robinson Earl in that spot, and his minutes should be pretty good. Basically coming back will also be kind of a 5. They've got a little bit of bodies, and Trey Mann also coming back. That'll get rid of Lindy Waters and those guys as well.
Andrew Nembhard questionable for Indiana tonight. What are your thoughts on his availability?
So he played through this injury last game, and he lost minutes because Aaron Nesmith was very good, and Aaron Nesmith picked up the Franz Wagner assignment. Rick Carlisle said after the game he almost started Aaron Nesmith at half. Very un-Carlisle thing to do, which speaks volumes. So I think regardless, Aaron Nesmith starting in this game, in this matchup. I mean, he closed down the stretch. He hit big shots, blown away. He was really one of the keys to win this game. So I'm somewhat confident, especially given all that size on the other side, right? You don't need another on-ball defender with Jalen Suggs. I feel pretty confident Nesmith gets to start over Nembhard. So expect Nembhard's minutes to get cut down. I think, Nesmith, if he's against a team that gives up a lot of threes coming off a big game, Coach has his back. He's not hurt anymore. I think Neesmith will kind of take
probably going to be too much value on the slate to get too excited about Neesmith. But I did have him on this slate was like a 4-game slate over the weekend. I did have him in one of my lineups that did pretty well. I think it was the lineup that was making a run. All right, some doubtful and out situations. We're going to be without Mike Conley for a while, and Dame Lillard as well. Let's talk about how Utah moves things around in the absence of Mike Conley, because I think that one's a little bit newer of a situation to deal with.
Yeah, so we've only seen really one game without Conley, and when Colin Sexton got the start, Colin Sexton played 31 minutes, so we should be looking at pretty good minutes there. And so it's a little, I think that I talked about this in matchups. I think the Paul George thing affects this situation as well, because if Paul George is in, I think it's a little bit more likely they go to Talen Horton-Tucker. They don't really have a lot of on-ball defenders, so bringing Talen Horton-Tucker in that way, I think makes some sense. But either way, I would expect Colin Sexton to start, play pretty good minutes. But I think Lauri Markkanen is kind of a low-key winner. Obviously, Conley's not a big usage guy, but just how they use Lauri Markkanen in the offense and scheming up plays for him, I think that could really, really be a bigger focal point for how they're going to run their offense. So I do think Lauri benefits a little bit, not worried about Marcus Morris matchup. Clarkson as well. Clarkson was great down the stretch in this win over my Blazers. His minutes will obviously be way more secure, a little bit more ball handling as well. So he certainly benefits too. But so yeah, those are the guys. And then Malik Beasley, right? You're taking Talen Horton-Tucker as kind of a 1/2, even /4/ whatever, and you're making him more of a 1. So that means more minutes for Beasley. Beasley, my God, this guy can't miss. We can, but he doesn't feel like he's missing.
They've been playing great of late, all season long, and Beasley's been really good. You saw the minutes tick up for Talen Horton-Tucker, not as much Colin Sexton last game. I do think it's interesting because whoever they shuffle into the starting lineup is going to be higher usage than Mike Conley, and that could put pressure on some of the guys in the starting lineup. I'm interested to see. You were saying you think they might scheme up more stuff for Markkanen. I think that could maybe then take more pressure on like Jordan Clarkson's rates. His minutes might be really strong, but someone like Sexton or Talen Horton-Tucker, there's a lot of competition for ball handling there. And Mike Conley just really initiates the offense and then basically takes wide open threes, and has a lower usage rate. So something to keep an eye on there. Damian Lillard out another week for Portland. We've seen them play without him quite a bit this year. But it does look like things are changing a little bit in the back end of the rotation of late. They've been a lot more confident with Shaedon Sharpe of late. So what are your thoughts on how Portland goes about trying to replace Dame?
Yeah, matchup against the Bucks as well. I'd be pretty surprised if it's not Anthony Simon starting at the 1, Shaedon Sharpe 2, Josh Hart 3, Grant, and then Nurk having a Justice Winslow basically being the backup everything. Yeah. We've seen him start at the 1. We've seen him start on the wing. Should mention that Billups has never started Winslow in Sharpe or whoever else's spot. If he has Sharpe, he's starting him. So I expect that to be the starting lineup. But Winslow's going to play a lot. They need the size, possibly insulate Jeremy Grant if he ends in a foul trouble against Giannis. So expect him to have really strong minutes. And he's played the 5. Winslow's been really, really good as far as just usage and role. But yeah, I think Sharpe's minutes will be really good. They've got Nazir Little, whose minutes have been down. He won't be competing as much with Winslow either. So those guys will step up a little bit more. And, to a degree, Nurk's minutes are a little bit safer too. Because, again, you're using Winslow as more of a perimeter player. That means you don't have to worry as much about him being a 5-man, which has cut him down at times as well.
You also need the offense. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's true too. Yep.
One thing that helps Nurk on that side as well. Some returns on the opposite side, the Bucks. Giannis is listed as probable, and Pat Connaughton is expected to return as well. So Connaughton will make his season debut, we think. We've been rug pulled on this once before, but I would expect Connaughton to be just, bench roll, kind of easing in. Teens of minutes would be my expectation. Do you have any difference of opinion there?
You had a long practice the other day. Budenholzer said that they wanted to see how he felt. They followed through with no injury report for him, so should be good. Like you said, expecting kind of upper teens. Giannis, midday probable tags are essentially questionable tags from the Bucks. So, be careful about that one. It's a really good matchup against Jeremy Grant. I think he could dominate that one. The Blazers are, I think, 3rd most at rim volume. So I think he could really crush, but yeah, be very careful.
Are you suggesting Giannis ladders tonight?
Yes, I think I am. I see what you did there. Yeah, I called him Giannis ladder match Antetokounmpo in my matchups column. But yeah, I just you got to make sure he's playing first before you. Well, it'll just get voided. But yeah, Brook Lopez's minutes have been great. Also, and should mention Drew Holiday didn't start this last game, and the first quarter interview on ESPN, Budenholzer said you're going to see a lot of him going forward, and the minutes were pretty much normal. Didn't play the first quarter, just missed his first rotation, and then it was normal. So I'd expect him to have a full rotation. That would bump out Marjon Beauchamp, has been more of a defensive player. That's what Drew Holiday will assume. So I would expect the lineup, unless we get something on Connaughton or funky on Giannis, to be Drew, Javon Carter, Grayson Allen. You need spacing. Giannis and Brook Lopez, who's been playing a lot and playing really well.
All right. And then Marcus Smart is expected to return tonight. Tough times for Zach LaVine, who after the 1-for-14 game and getting benched, gets to return to face Marcus Smart back in the lineup along with Derek White, the guard defense for Boston. But Boston's been rolling. They haven't really missed Marcus Smart. They get him back tonight. Your expectation, any sort of minutes limitation there?
I don't think so. So going back to last week, remember he got hit with a probable tag initially and then got ruled out. This is an injury he's been playing through. According to Joe Mazzulla, had pain and swelling after the game on Friday. So this is something he was playing through. No injury report. Probably means those 2 days off or whatever have improved his health. So expecting not full minutes, but he should get to low 30s at least. So I wouldn't be shocked if they pull Grant and they go small here because DeMar DeRozan has killed them. 35.5 points per game in the 2 games. Just lighten him up all day. So I think it makes sense to bring another on-ball defender in there. You don't need Grant and rebounding really too much with Horford there. So just something I don't think it's going to happen. I think that would be just kind of an adjustment as the game goes on. But with the way Derek White's played, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a lineup change as Mazzulla kind of goes into a different matchup.
And the idea there would be White on LaVine and Smart on DeRozan to try to quell the DeRozan.
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense.
Interesting. All right. I think we've talked through it all. We covered the Warriors when that news came in. So, yeah, that's it. Enjoy the rest of the Monday. Enjoy the games tonight. As always, if you enjoy the content that we're putting forth, please consider supporting us with your clicks. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you get notifications whenever we go live. You can also smash that like button and continue to feed the algorithm to keep us providing this free content for you. It's going to be a big week of nom Thanksgiving week. Feed that algo. Feed yourselves in the DFS streets tonight. We'll see you behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern with another edition of Established Show with myself and GPP bro, Gary. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.